Hey y'all, hey y'all, hey y'all, what's going on with you? What's going on with everybody on this beautiful Sunday? And everyone, I know everyone getting ready for Monday. But look, listen, quick. Hold on, let me clean my camera out real quick. Should have did that in the beginning. Well, right now I have been blessed with some classical and opera records, that I will be able to add to my vinyl collection. As you know, I was gifted a vinyl, a record player, which I am so in love with. I'm so happy and I am just full of excitement with it. So I've been just basically trying to curate whatever I can between classical, opera, jazz, blues, anything acoustic, things of that melody. So I know some record shops to go to. I've been recommended some record shops to go to, so that's good. But that's not what I came on here to talk about. And I definitely don't want this topic that I'm about to discuss to be drawn out. But I did wanted to share some things that I know that I have learned over the past, things that I have observed with different churches in general, and just things I've observed with individuals in general. And I just feel like, honestly, people need to know about certain things. But like I said, I did make a post and I really meant what I said and I said what I meant. First off, my name is Shani, Shoni. And I'm just all about truth and being able to be that person to be able to shed light, even though people are scared to say most things, or some people just don't want to say things in general. I have been referenced as a person of more of a disturbance or a disruptor to individuals, but that's okay. But the thing is, I do not apologize for anything that I say, because I do truly feel, though, even though as we sit here in our rooms, in our living rooms, in the car, wherever you may be looking at this video, I do believe it's individuals deep down inside that actually put their pride aside and actually reflect on the things that are being said. We know that God sends people in general to share a piece of word, wisdom, and things of that nature when the people that are around us fail to do just that. So my message today is that you guys, individuals, need to first off put that prideful spirit aside. I do realize some things that we tend to encounter honestly be from the lives or backgrounds that we come from. But one thing I just wanted to talk about is different ministries. And what I mean by different ministries, I'm going to pose a question. My question is simply this: what do you do it for? So what do you do your women's ministry for? What do you do your outreach ministry for? What do you do your men's ministry for? Like, whatever ministry you have, why do you do it? You know what I'm saying? That's the first question I would like to ask each ministry leader or anyone in general that follows that suit. Why do you do your particular ministry? I have saw a lot of people operate their ministry out of pride. And I've witnessed individuals operate their ministry because they say or have been prophesied that this is their ministry. However, I do not question anybody in regards to if this is your ministry that God gave you. That's not my place. I will not do that. However, even though a person may be prophesied to, as far as I will have a women's ministry, I will have a men's ministry, children's ministry, whatever ministry that might be, you still have to operate with a pure heart and motive in order for that ministry to grow. And people fail to realize that, honestly, you may not say it out your mouth that this particular ministry that you feel like you may have birthed is coming from your heart, but it's really coming from a place of wanting recognition. It's coming from a place of wanting to be like the next church down the street. It's wanting to actually feel like you are doing something and you're doing something bigger and better than your home girl or your homeboy who's also having the same ministry, and you are secretly envious and jealous of them because their ministry is so far gone and expounded, but yet you yourself have been sitting for about 4 years and your ministry hasn't went nowhere. You secretly find it in yourself that you feel defeated inside. You may also find yourself feeling disappointed at other members because you feel like they are not contributing to your ministry. But even all of that might be something that is definitely true. But how many of us really is going to sit here and say, well, I am that person? No. Let's be honest. There's nobody that I feel like is going to honestly say that, yes, I am that person that's secretly jealous of Sally Sue down the street or in a whole nother boundary line because their ministry is exploding and mine is sinking. I'm not going to sit here and admit to anyone that this is how I secretly feel. But I'm here to tell you, as a person who sees in the spirit, I can definitely tell individuals, and I will never name names. I will not ever do that. But I will tell you, when you are around people who see in the spirit and is truly have that one-on-one connection with God, some things is a little hard to, let me just say this, some things is a little hard to kind of fake around certain people. So like for me, it burdens my heart a lot of times. I just can't never really say it because some people are just unteachable. And that's one thing I find that's an issue with ministries in general, whether you have a small church or even a worldwide mega church. If you are unteachable, your ministry will not grow. How will your ministry grow if you can never be taught by anybody? Some people will sit here and say that they can be taught, but their actions speak louder than words. The thing that I want people to understand, that your words means nothing. Think of it like Saul and David. You know what I'm saying? I know you might be like, well, what does they have to do with this? What I'm saying is God chooses people based on their heart, not by how they look. So same thing with ministry and how your ministry performs and how your ministry chooses to expound. God expands ministries by their heart, not by what you want. So if you are definitely deep down inside only wanting to do a women's ministry, men's, children, outreach, whatever that may be, because you're deep down wanting validation from someone, you deep down want to satisfy a position of what it looks like to be a first lady, or what it looks like to be a bishop, or what it even looks like to be a renowned pastor or evangelist, whatever your title might be in your local church. You really have to put that away, because ministry does not equal titles. Titles do not hold any bear weight in regards to God's presence. So if you find that yourself feeling that your ministry is not growing or people are not participating, sometimes you really got to look within your own self and reflect and ask those questions to yourself, and really ask God those questions, and not sit up here and say that you're listening to God when you're really not. I found some individuals will say that they are listening to God and they're trying to be silent and they're trying to do this and they're trying to do that. But I find that that's also truly a lie. There is more so that you're saying things just so people can think that you are being obedient. But deep down inside in your heart, you're not being obedient. And the reason why I'm saying this is because if you're being obedient, your actions will tell more than what you're saying. Obedience comes out in your restorative mindset. Obedience will reflect your actions. That means you may not truly like what somebody is saying to you, or you just totally do not agree. You may very well think or even know that someone is lying to you per se, but silence will keep your mouth shut and not really saying anything to anyone or anybody that will reflect that you really think that person is lying or trying to get one over on you. Because if you're being obedient to silence, then some things will not come out your mouth the way that it does, which causes individuals or members of your church to step back and not participate because you let your flesh come out of your mouth versus the spiritual side actually taking over. That means you have allowed your flesh person to overthrow your inner person, your inner spirit man overall. And in order to really honestly have your spiritual inner man grow, you have to really tackle what it really truly means to have a relationship with God. Some of us are just too prideful. They rather get information from their pastor's pastor or mentor's mentor, and they fail to realize people who have not been in church longer than they have actually have more wisdom than the ones that they actually look up to. Because what if I told you some people who you quote unquote want to be around or want to imitate and mimic so much, whether that's your mentor, whether that's your spiritual daddy or your spiritual mother, whether it's your own pastor, whoever that might be that you wholeheartedly look up to, if you're looking up to more to them than to God, well, we have a problem. Then that means you really want to have someone else's mantle, but their mantle may not even be worth squat to hold. Meaning you want mantles, but you don't know what they're doing behind those mantles. You don't know what they had to do for that mantle. So as we create ministries, or as we feel that God has called us to a certain ministry, we have to understand that we enter in God's gates and we enter in God's kingdom with having a pure heart and pure motive. That means we're not doing anything for likes. We're not doing outreach just to say that we did something. That is one thing I will have to be honest and true to you when I say this. It really irks my nerves and it strikes a nerve when I can clearly see that you're only doing these outreach events just to say you did something. And people try to feel that I'm being harsh or I'm being mean, but the proof is in the pudding by the actions that are being taken. For example, if you have a food truck and you are like, what's that like greater food depository? Well, they normally have churches and stuff like that where they make deliveries to churches and they drop out so many food boxes and things like that for the church or whatever organization to deliver within the community. But if you poorly put things together and no one in your community where your church sits at was able to really get anything other than the people that you know, well, I'm sorry to tell you, you're just doing something just to say you did it. You are not doing it for the community. And I have to give witness to individuals because people are not going to tell you the way the truth shall be said. And I understand people don't want to hear the truth because they're offended. But the thing is, if you put things in proper protocol and structure, you will understand when you are doing an outreach thing, some things have to be planned. You can't just throw something together and think that it's God's will. No, it's not God's will. It is your will, because you have a fantasy to want to say that you did something so people can think that you're doing something, but really ideally you poorly did it and put it together. And we all know that is not how our God works. Other words, if you have a food truck and you got goods coming to your church or your organization or school, whatever that may be, you know this ahead of time. So the proper etiquette and protocol and structure for outreach, honestly, is to plan things accordingly with a minimum of 3 months. Anything you put together for God's will, you should be putting and planning these things to at least the bare minimum of 3 months. But what we fail to do is we want to put things together because we just want to throw it together out of the whim. God doesn't operate like that. God may put something on your mind to say, hey, this is what I want you to do, but you still got to do proper and decent and order and ask him forevermore. How would you want me to do this? How many people you want me to feed? This, that, and the third. But what irks and bothers me is that people are so prideful that they don't even want to ask for help. Just because someone don't go to your church or anything like that, they could be a very good piece of wisdom to your organization or your church because they know a lot more about outreach. Like, for example, I've been doing outreach since day one, since servanthood. And I've been doing outreach by myself, solo dolo. Meaning I didn't need a church. I didn't need an organization. I didn't need anyone to push me or persuade me to go out there and feed God's people, clothe God's people, direct God's people into resources X, Y, and Z, because that's where my heart is. So that's how I know that I'm called and truly called for outreach, because God always made a way for me to help, even if it's just one person or two. A lot of us want to sit here and want to feed the multitude, but what if God only wanted you to feed 10 people? Some of us want to do so much, but yet you take up so much of a burden that God didn't even give you to do. Sometimes you gotta start small and then work your way up. And that's why ministries look half done the way they are right now. Because you want to it's all about you. It's not all about God. It's not even all about God's people. It's all about trying to sound like you are doing something within your church to make it seem like your church is helping. But really, if nobody in the community even knows what's going on, then how can that be so? So the proper etiquette to look like is, so if I got a food truck by the Food Greater Depository or any other sponsors or donors, whatever the case may be, and I know this, well, guess what? I'm going to be letting the schools in that community know, not on the day of, not the day before. I'm going to let the social workers know in the schools that are near in the community. I'm going to let the case managers know in the schools in the community. I'm going to let the principals know in the schools in the community. And I'm also going to look at any other agencies that are in there. Let's say if it's any public aid offices, light heat offices, or anything like that might be in the community that service low income families. And I'm going to make my presence known that, look, in a week or two, or whatever the case may be, we're going to have a big, gigantic food drop. And I really want everybody to come and take part. I don't want anything left behind. And then on top of that, I'm going to let them know. And if this is something that I'm going to be doing every 3 months or or every month, I'm going to let them know that this church or this organization, guess what? Let your people know that we're going to be distributing food at this time, this day, and this where and whatever. So that way they already have programmed into their own facilities that we have extra help to feed the people in the community. You cannot just do things half tail and expect God to move. when really you're just going to get the results by the end of the day just to say you did something. And to me, honestly, that's not enough. And you're speaking to a person who loves outreach. So I say things with passion. I'm sorry, but that's not enough. And people around you who's supposed to be higher than you is not even telling you, that's a problem. That's one issue that I wanted to bring out into the open. That you got people who've been in church 20 years and they right next to you, but yet this is the outcome you guys have. Because nobody wants to listen. Nobody wants to be taught. Nobody wants to hear things from a person that has less church experience than someone who's been churching for 15 years. And it's come to the realization that the people who've been churching for 15 years, well, they're digging you down a rabbit hole because they're not even giving you any advice. Like, my point is, here's an example. I don't know about how y'all do it on the south side or east side, west side, and I'm pretty sure on the south side, y'all got different districts have different rules. So on the north side over here, I like their structure. The alderman works with the mayor. The mayor and the alderman works with agencies in the community, like more than one. Also, they work with the neighborhood grocery stores. Also, they work with the neighborhood churches. So everybody has a say in what they do and how they are to actually help the community. So nobody is doing it by themselves. So I hear and the police department, I forgot to add that. So if you find yourself in a community and your church sits in that community and your church does not even bother to integrate in any of those facilities and agencies that I have just mentioned, then you might want to start, because that is how you make your outreach grow. That is how you get your name out there to let people in the community know that you're truly trying to help them and not just make a name for yourself. We want people who wants to help people, not make a name for yourself. I could care less if you're Daisy and Donald Duck Baptist Church that sits on 75th and State, and you just started out. You should not be trying to have ministries just to make a name for yourself. No, you need to be out there trying to help and serve the people. And then that's when the people will come to your church, because they see that you're actively trying to help them. You're not trying to just get people to come in and then all of a sudden stop helping. So if you have not integrated with the police department in that church district, schools and daycares in that church district, grocery stores in that church district, agencies that may help with LIHEAP or anything like that in that district, or any other low income service in that district, then that's where your problem is. I don't know who needs to hear this, but I'm just letting you know. You can thank me later. Because one thing I can't stand is food to go to waste. One thing I can't stand is only people in the church that is getting the food, and not people in the neighborhood. Like, I mean, I don't care if you use your car and take some food boxes and deliver it to shelters. It's people with cars and don't even do squat. When I had my vehicle, that's what I did. So I'm just saying, people with cars don't even do that. Like, y'all are lazy. Y'all think that help is supposed to come to you, and you're supposed to actually be the one that go and help. If you got a car or a van and you got a food truck and you don't get the response that you need from people coming to your place of business to get the food, then how about you put it in your car, tell a couple of your peoples, your deacons, your bishops, your ministers, or whoever, even some volunteers, put a couple of boxes, make some boxes up, and take it to the shelters that's in the community. Take it to the homeless shelters and take it to community. Don't just let it sit there. And because I'm going to tell you, one time I actually went to one church. This was 2 years ago. I'm not even going to drop their name because it's ridiculous. And they well known too. And I just feel like they didn't even, they so well known to the point they start caring about quality. So I actually went and got a food box for myself because it was a point in time that I actually needed a food box for myself. And I went, my car was literally on its last leg, meaning like a last piece of gas, but but they was giving out food boxes on the south side. And yeah, when I got, and I didn't realize it, but when I got home, everything that was in that box was expired. Come on. We got to do better. And I never mentioned it until now. Everything in that box was expired. So therefore, I done spent my last bit of gas trying to get a food box to feed my family, only to find out that food box was, every single thing in there was expired. Yeah, expired. So ever since then, I don't take no joke when it come down to outreach. I spare no feelings. Because you get out here giving out expired food because, one, you get food, but yet you only give it to the people in your church. You don't bother to see if anyone in the town or in the city, and this is simply making some food boxes and drop them out. I don't care if you drop them off in neighborhood. Like I had one school out here on the north side. That's what they did. They had food boxes put together, and volunteers literally dropped these food boxes off to families. This was at Jordan Elementary School that did this. So if a school can do the exact same thing, then you churches out here can do the same. If you do it, no problem. No problem that I'm not talking to you. But the ones that do, they know exactly who they are. You got to do better. Because one thing I don't like is that people trying to use God and make a name for themselves, but yet they're not helping the people like they say they are. They may have intentions, but by the end of the day, when you go home and you sit down, you be like, well, dang, I had all this food, but who really all came to get this food? And if a good percentage of it was your members at church, and nothing wrong with that. I'm not saying do not give anything to people at your church. Absolutely not. So hear me when I say this. I'm not saying that at all. But what I'm saying is, if you can actually sit at the table and have a deep thought on how your event went today by giving out food, and you can say, well, a good half of the people that got the food was people that you already knew. Meaning, it should be people coming to get the food that you have no idea about. You don't have nothing. It should really outweigh the other. That's one. The second thing I want to touch bases on is pride, and people want to do ministry because they think that's a platform for them. If you got a ministry and only 2 or 3 people show up, let it be that. Don't feel like you're defeated, and don't feel like disappointed because people don't want to participate in certain things, because it could be reasons why they don't participate, which means boundaries. Some of y'all people at church, y'all don't know how to exercise boundaries. Boundaries will make your congregation stay at home. Overdoing people's boundaries will make your people who used to come to church don't want to do anything no more, because you will let your personal feelings get in the way of someone's boundaries that you clearly went over and crossed. I hate to say this, but it's true. Boundaries, y'all need to exercise it. So here's my thing. What I don't like is how churches, they want to school you on proper protocol and procedures and stuff before you even have a relationship with God. Other words, you too busy looking at if what a person got on. You looking at a person, you feeling a certain type of way because a person got alcohol on their breath. You feeling a certain type of way because a person don't smell good because you know they homeless, whatever that may be. You feeling a certain type of way because they come in because they only got a sundry. This all they got. But ain't nan one of you ladies not trying to help any women with clothes, but y'all have so much to say behind people's backs. That's not church. That is evil. Who said that you gotta be always well to come to church? You need to get people who are obviously ill to come into the church so they could be healed too. But if you sitting up here having ministries with false intentions, you're not going to help nobody at all. Like, for example, you may have a men's ministry. I'm going to throw men's ministry and women's ministry because to me, and children's ministry, those are the three things I feel that people always fight and have arguments over. But the thing is, all of these ones I have mentioned need consistency. And they cannot be ran off of personal feelings. Ministries need to be ran off of pure spiritual guidance. Meaning, for example, if you got a women's ministry, you cannot be sitting up here trying to act bougie. Because you may have a woman who really don't have nothing to their name, and you want to have a conference at this whole ordeal, and you want people to dress a certain type of way, but this woman who's clearly broken cannot. And you want what you want, but not worrying about, well, what about the ones who are trying to come in? And I guess what I'm saying in general is that you cannot operate ministry based on what you want. You got to operate ministry based on the needs of the people, the needs, where the needs are, not where your needs is. And I find some ministries are failing because they're doing just that. They put in the ministries that they choose to create and to say that they're called to, but yet they're operating with their personal feelings. They don't even want to go to any other person who got many umpteen years of experience in a certain ministry because they want to do everything by themselves. That means you cannot be taught. That means your ministry ain't going to grow. It's going to sit exactly where it's at, because one thing is God sees every single thing. And one thing I don't like is when I come across people's specific ministries and it feels like a performative thing. Meaning, like, for example, if I was to hold a prayer breakfast, which I probably will at some point, but if I was to do that, right, and I only had 4 people that came or 4 people that bought tickets to it, I'm not going to feel defeated. I'm not going to feel upset. Because why? Maybe it was only supposed to be them 4 people, but we feel we take things beyond God and on our own feelings because we want to be so big and debonair and demure. You rather go and get a speaker who's supposedly well known, who can possibly sell out seats of that nature, instead of letting people who are not known speak at your event. Because again, you're only looking to sell seats. You're not looking to gain souls. You're looking to sell seats. And that's why I cannot participate in some people events, because I see exactly what's going on. And if other people may not see it, but I see beyond a lot of things. And if it ain't God in it, then I don't want to be in it. If I see right off the bat that whatever you're holding ain't got nothing dealing with God, it has every bit to try to pump and prime you, I don't want to be a part of it. Simple as that. Because that's why I gave the example. Like, if you got in a men's conference, but since I'm a woman, I'm going to use a woman. If you're holding a women's conference and you want to, you just now starting off in women's ministry, meaning you ain't even did anything for women's ministry like that. Not like that. And then you want to have speakers coming from Atlanta or Texas or whatever, because you hear they can sell out seats and you want to pay these people to come to speak at your conference or your seminar or whatever. But the thing is, we don't even ask God, is that what he wanted? We too busy doing what we want, and that's why our stuff fail, is what I'm saying, in so many words. Have you asked God, like, okay, God, I know you put this conference on my mind, on my spirit to do, so can you walk me through this? Can you send me some people who are well blessed in wisdom to help me with this? Because I know I don't know how to do it, but I know you put it in my heart to do it. So, Lord, can you put people in my environment to show me how to walk this thing? And also, Lord, can you share with me who you want to speak at this conference? And also, Lord, how many people do you want this conference to reach? A lot of times we too busy thinking and doing things on our own because we trying to fill some big shoes that that ain't even our shoes to fill. You want to be like Sarah Jakes, and Sarah Jakes been in this game for umpteen how many years? You want to be like Anita Phillips, but they been in here for so long. You want to be like Latrice Reese, I think that's her name, or you want to be like whoever, but even whoever you might have known for 30 plus years, but not knowing, you don't even know what they had to sow into this ministry that they have to get to where they at, where they ministry, it looks like it's expounded to such a way that it's really, really up there. I find people want it, but they don't want to do no work. I find people who got titles and they ain't doing squat. Why am I the one who ain't got no title? Let me bring it out. I ain't even got no title, but do more work than those who got titles. Hallelujah. I'm just giving context. I'll be on the bus and the train and still do more outreach than those who got vehicles and got more than one car at home. Hallelujah. How? And I'm not saying that to be funny, but I'm just letting y'all know that how real this looks, how it looks to people on the outside. Like, that's how, I'm sorry, you lazy. Y'all do stuff that ain't cool. God don't do half done work, so therefore he not gonna touch it. A lot of times, so I'm gonna leave it with this. A lot of times we think that we're doing God's will because we're doing stuff under God's domain, but that don't mean that it's God's will. It could very well mean you doing it on your will and you using God's people to mask it. Okay? I realize this could be a little harsh for some people, but that's okay. Because please do keep in mind, the reason why I'm saying it like this, because again, people who really do need to hear this, I know they be watching these videos. I know they be trolling my videos. I know they do. They don't say it, but I already know they do. So it's okay. But please believe this video is for you. So if you feel offended, this video is for you. If you got your underwear and panties in a bunch, this video is for you. I'm tired of sugarcoating, and I'm tired of, it is for you. Because I find people don't want to come to me on any situation, because they know I'm probably the realest thing you ever going to come around. The people in your inner circle have you just where you at. Think it not strange why other people's church names is before yours. Think it not strange when people's events have a higher turnout than yours. But yet y'all operating supposed to be operating the same. Sometimes we take on duties that God did not give us to do. But because we got this sensation of wanting our own as so badly, and we think that this is the right way to go, but it's not. Because whatever God gives you, he gonna make sure it's flowing in excellence. Not half done, not half baked. He's not gonna do that. Other words, God not gonna put his name on something that that's gonna be not done to perfection when it's time to bring it out of the oven. Because that's not who he is. But a lot of times we too busy leaning on our own understanding that we don't even realize that, yeah, you may be doing this. Yeah, you may be leading this here. You may be doing that here. But is that what God truly told you to do? Because the way I look at it, I feel like I'm not trying to be funny, but I feel like in general, ever since individuals got with certain individuals, or ever since other groups got with other groups, or other churches got with other churches, they got dimmed. I'm being honest. That's just my opinion, and I'm gonna stick to it. I often ask myself, do people really hear from God? Because it's been almost, it's been some things that have been really going on for like almost a year or two, and I be looking like God could not have gave this blocking instructions to this person, because all this is an epic fail. This don't even look right, or whatever that might be. You know what I'm saying? Like I literally be asking myself that. Like, no, this clearly is something that they wanted to do. This is not God. But because they're so full of pride, and some people are just wanted to be out there, they block themselves from even knowing what's real and what's not. And then find themselves in the ruckus. So my point is, and also the thing is, I like to share, you should not allow your background interfere with your ministry and how you operate. If you found yourself always in cliques, Miss Popular, Mr. Popular, always had everything your way and nobody's way, you need to can it. Because if you go into leading ministry the way that you felt like you were in high school or even in college or whatever the case may be, you're operating on a whole nother dimension. This is not what it is. So if you're used of people saying yes to you all the time, then I suggest you get to knowing what it sounds like to hear a lot of no's. First, I encourage y'all get y'all heart right, y'all mindset, before y'all be trying to claim ministries. I want this, I want that. Because the moment you start going to the public need consistency. Broken souls and vessels need consistency. They don't need their broken soul and plus your broken soul on top of that, trying to lead a ministry. Meaning, you can't have a man who got an alcohol problem, and you a dude, and you sitting up here having church events or ministry events where you bringing wine, and you think wine is okay to drink. And it's okay to drink in your own home, but I'm just saying, but not realizing, what if that man got an alcohol problem? You just sat up here and you bring in alcohol into the midst. You having events and birthday parties at functions with an open bar, not understanding that, then, okay, the people you know them, but what about the people you don't know? You know what I'm saying? I don't know. I just feel like you gotta exercise some type of discernment when you're helping people on the outdoors and things like that. So if you have a men's ministry and y'all decide to go out and have an event, get to know the people, because get to know your people, because I would hate for someone to double back or reverse themselves because they had an alcohol problem and you literally invited them to a birthday party at your house and you got people bringing alcohol to your house. I do feel like it should be boundaries in between church people and in your home, if that makes sense. Because I really do feel like some of those should not always cross. I do feel that because people, leaders tend to have a tight relationship with their congregation, especially if it's a small church. That's how boundaries get crossed a lot, because no one seems to know how to draw the line between what's personal and stay in your lane. You the pastor, but I'm a member, but still stay in your lane type of boundary. And I encourage, by the end of the day, what I really encourage everyone to stop being so focused on policy and protocol and decent order when you don't even have a prayer foundation. You can't even recognize the intercessors in your own group to call them out, to motivate them to step in their calling, because you don't see it. Nevertheless, not just that, but have a relationship with God. And I think that's why I am different, because I was not religious. You know what I'm saying? Meaning I did not grow up in Bible camp and all of that, knowing John 3:16 right out the womb. No, I didn't. Hands down, I did not. So I actually gained a relationship with God before I knew religion. Real talk. And that works for me. And that's what built me who I am right now. Because I'm able to see in the heart and not just looking out the outside of people. I'm actually able to look at how God looks at people and not look at the outside and not the inside. I actually go inside and out before I go outward. So I actually built a relationship with God first. I didn't have a religious relationship. I didn't have that. I didn't. And I feel like that's what we're missing right now. And when you have that, then you can actually get into ministry the way you're supposed to get into ministry. Because now you're doing it for, and you're being a servanthood of people. Like my pastor reminded us yesterday and today that you're going to serve while suffering. And that meant volumes to me, because I do. But I never thought of it that way. The amount of times I've been admitted into the hospital over 1, 2, 3 days. And so, do you realize that's exactly what I was doing? I was suffering, in pain, my tummy, whatever the case may be. But I was still ministering in my own way. Meaning everyone who came in my hospital room, please believe they heard the word of God. Whether it was through a song, through a sermon, or through a prayer call, or whatever it was, child, they did. Serving while suffering when I'm at work and I am going through some stuff mentally and physically, but you would probably never know because I don't whine about it. But by the end of the day, I give nothing but thanks and praise to the God Almighty, Abba, our Father. And I have to remind me, and I remind you guys as well, that nothing we're doing, Jesus didn't already go through. Jesus definitely served while suffering. all the way to the very end when he said, I forgive them for they know not what they do. So when you embody that mindset of Christ-like image, you will then embody what ministry to people and servinghood looks like. Servanthood is not just to say, I did something, we did something this year. Hey, we did that, but you didn't serve not one single body in the community. You served your own church. You didn't serve nobody in Ashburn or Gresham. You ain't served nobody in Inglewood. You ain't served not a single iota of a person, so I don't count that. So, if anyone have questions, if you want information, if you need thoughts, message me, because I'm all about helping those. You want your children ministry to grow? Well, use what you got. But get out there to the schools, because if you get the schools, you get their parents. The question is, are you ready to do it? You say you wanna go after souls. Where you at on 79th Street at the train station, at the bus stops? Where you at walking down the community? I don't see not one single person. I'm just saying. If you don't do those, then you're not doing nothing. You're not. How you saving souls and there's nobody even evangelizing in the streets where they are at, where the lost souls are at. Instead, y'all too scared. But yet y'all believe in God. How can you be scared to win souls and get out there in the streets where they are, but yet you say and believe that God will protect? How can those two contradict each other? I'm just saying. It's a lot of souls out here that could be won, but it ain't being won because people are too complacent in where they at and doing things for the wrong reason, because they just want to say they did something, but they're not actively out there in these streets like such. And you don't need a whole group. Like, for example, I spoke to someone earlier. You don't need a whole group to evangelize. It could be just 2 people. Print out some prayer tracks, whatever. And I mean, it don't need a whole group. More will come when they see the lead do it. But if you're not doing it, your church not going to do it. A lot of things rest on the head. And it do. But then people get upset when other people start doing exactly what they want to do, but they never did it. And then that's where a lot of competition come in at. And a lot of, bitterness come in at, because you want to do this, but yet you don't do it. And now someone else is doing it. Like, what that might look like is, I could say, hey, I'm going to 79th Street to pray for some people, and I may ask somebody in your church. It could be the Polar Express Baptist Church, and I may know somebody in Polar Express Baptist Church. But because you guys don't do it at Polar Express Baptist Church, but I know one of your members, and I'll be like, hey, yo, you want to go with me to evangelize to pray for some people? And they be like, sure, I'll do it. But then the lead get all uptight and be like acting funny and strange because their member is being invited to go evangelize and win some souls. One thing for certain, let me tell you something. I don't know who needs to hear this too. You do not need permission from your pastor to go with someone to go evangelize, especially if you know them. If the person, like if I ask you to go evangelize with me to 79th Street, I'm not asking you, and I know you go to another church. Well, I am, believe it or not, I am not asking you to go evangelize and bring people to my church. Okay? I'm actually trying to help you out and your church out, or whoever that might be. But yet people get so, get so stuck in their way. All them traditional ways don't work no more in this time. So if your pastor telling you need permission to do this and do that, no, you don't. Break that down to me in the Bible where show me that. Because here's the thing. A lot of pastors and bishops and whoever that is in lead, they will tell you that this is what's supposed to be happening, but it's not biblically. It's something that they orchestrated generation after generation after generation. That's something like, so in other words, 10 generations in Baptist church that they go to, that's what they believe in. That's what they inserted in their own doctrine. But that is not God's doctrine. Now, I know I'm going to have a lot of people got some backlash to say, but you don't need permission from your pastor or bishop to go and minister to word with somebody, especially if you know this person. You don't need no permission for that. Because what if I told you, if you continue that theory, what if your pastor, your bishop, your minister, whoever that is in lead of you is jealous or envious of that person who's asking you to go evangelize? And they tell you, no, that's not what you're supposed to do. And then have you not do it. But the same time, in between time, ain't nobody in your church doing absolutely none of that. Guess what? It ain't on me. God will handle them accordingly for stopping a vessel for trying to get some souls into the church. Hallelujah. That's it and that's all. But I did have to say that. I know some people gonna not like me. Some people may have some questions about that, but I stand on business. If you can tell me where it says that in the Bible, then let me know. Because as far as I'm concerned, everything that I said was man-made doctrine. And I don't follow man-made doctrine. I follow God's doctrine. So therefore, if I ask Sally Sue from Willie Mae Baptist Church to go, and because I know you guys not, if y'all doing something, I probably wouldn't even ask. But if you know what I'm saying, I don't overstep. I don't do that. But if I know that y'all ain't even doing nothing and I'm just trying to, do something, and why not show other people how to do it? And they be like, well, I got to ask my pastor because a pastor have somehow brainwashed them thinking that that's what they supposed to do. No. Now, I will say that sometimes, organizations, you pastors do have to be careful on, if that lines up with how they are. Absolutely. That's different. You know what I'm saying? So if I'm an organization and I'm trying to get you all to come with me to go do this, absolutely. People got to look into see what your organization aligns with. Like if it ain't aligning with the pillars of what I'm already in line with, then I don't want it. But I'm really solely talking about those who don't even have that in their ministry, and they're not doing it at all. And if I ask Sally Sue to come and help me pass out some sandwiches, it shouldn't be, oh, let me ask my pastor. You don't have to do that. Because what if your pastor tell you no? And the reason behind their no, what if the reason behind their no is because they're envious and jealous and they're being spiteful of that person who is asking you to do it? Right? That is a thing. Don't think that don't happen. So that's why you always include God first. Let God be the final say. Your pastor don't know everything. Some pastors still learning some stuff. Now, I ain't trying to be funny, but it's true. That's when you got to learn how. That's why I say you got to have if you have a relationship with God first, you will be able to do what I'm asking you to do with no ease. But if you are inducted into a church knowing about religion first before a relationship with God, you're always going to think what they say, their bylaws is how you're supposed to live. And no, that's your stuff. But if it don't align with God, then I'm sorry, I can't go by it. If you can't show me nothing that is telling me why I can't do what I'm saying I'm doing, then am I breaking something? Like, you know what I mean? Like, so you have to be weary. And that's why I say by the end of the day, y'all have to have a relationship with God first. And when you have a relationship with God, the very example that I gave you in regards to asking Willie Mae to come help evangelize on 79th Street, and they church ain't got no outreach, don't even have nothing like that, that should not ever be a problem unless you got one, unless you got an outreach who do that. But if you don't have one and you really just want to save souls and that's really your agenda, then you don't have to ask not one single body. But people will have you thinking, because they want you to know religion before a relationship with God, then you're thinking that you got to do this and you really don't. You have to understand certain denominations want you to do this, and I understand that. But what if I told you God is all nations? God ain't thinking about no denominations. I'm just saying he's not. He isn't. He isn't. That's all I'm about to say. Well, that is it. That's all I got for now. I already know I'm going to have some haters, but that's okay. I come on here and I speak truth. And again, I'm sorry, I can't be me. This was a word that was put on my belly to say. And instead of anyone be offended, if you are, I just ask that you ask God to show you yourself and why you are being offended. Some of us need to be around people who are 100% real and not just telling them what they want to hear to make them feel better. Because you never know. Some people got other agendas. They're not even trying to have you expand. They don't want you to expand past them. So, oh no, they're not going to tell you nothing. And you'll be surprised to be people who you know for so long. You would think that I would never thought. I've known this person for 20 years. I would never think, but you thought wrong. And now they name up there here and there, and that's all you hear about. But now we don't never hear nothing about you. Y'all better get it right and get it together. Y'all better take this word of wisdom. Sometimes the truth hurts. Sometimes it do. We are not lukewarm Christians. We gotta take the truth and do what we need to do with it. Amen. All right, I'll talk to y'all guys later. I see y'all. Y'all have a good day and enjoy the rest of this Psalm Sunday. Hallelujah.